Hi everyone, my name is Beth Knowlton and I am the plant science teacher at Killingly High School in the Agricultural Education Department. I'm excited today to be partnering with Celebrating Ag and celebrating all the wonderful things our agricultural community does and has in store for Northeastern Connecticut. We are so lucky to be here. And so today I'm going to be teaching all of you that are interested in how to make a fall centerpiece. What's really cool about this is that if down the line you want to switch up your colors for flowers, you can use this class to design an arrangement for just about any season, just by buying different colored flowers. So today we're working in fall colors. This is close to a final product. It's not all the way done. And we will be making something beautiful for your fall table. All right, so in the materials list, you will have seen that you needed to purchase a block or brick of floral foam. And so this is what that brick would have looked like. We do not need this entire brick. And the awesome thing about this is that as long as you keep this dry, you can store this away for a different design a different day. Once it gets wet, you have to use it or throw it out. All right, so leave part of this dry is the plan. So if you bought a container that is to the same dimensions that I listed in the materials list, you're only going to need 1/3 of a brick. And so you'll notice here, this has lines designating where the thirds are. If yours doesn't, take a good guesstimate. If your container is a little bit bigger or smaller, you're going to want to cut your piece of Oasis so it fits inside your container. So I'm going to cut that. And so this is 1/3 of a brick, and this is what I'm going to need. This is still good. It is dry, so I'm going to put it off to the side. So you need to soak this in water. I will fill my sink and I will let this float in the sink. You can use a bowl or a bucket. They all work fine. You just want to make sure there's enough water in whatever container you're using so that the Oasis has plenty of room to sink to the bottom and still be covered by water. All right. This will not sink all the way to the bottom of your container. It will float some. Okay. So you're going to go ahead, you're going to take your 1/3 of a brick or whatever size you need to fit your container, and you're going to put this in your container and let it sink for 30 to 60 seconds. You want it to be good and wet. All right, so your Oasis should be good and wet by now. You'll notice it's a dark green compared to the light green before. All right, and what you're going to do is you're going to place this into your container. Now, my container came with a plastic liner. Okay. If your container did not come with a plastic liner, then you need to use either tin foil or Saran Wrap, and you need to line the bottom of this because your Oasis is going to lose water, and you don't want it to lose water all over your beautiful dining room table, all right? Especially if you have guests over. So you're going to want to line your container. If you bought a container that looks like it is sealed on the bottom and water couldn't seep out of it, I would still line it. I've bought in like galvanized tubs and things like that, thinking they'd be great for flower arrangements because they're pretty cool and unique. And they look solid, and then you put Oasis in them and you water it, and they're not solid. So I would line it even if it looks like it has a solid bottom, just to be safe, because you really can't take your arrangement out after you've created it to line your container. Okay. You're going to notice my 1/3 of a brick when I put it in my dish. It's not tall enough, and that's okay. I'm going to take a slice off of my dry brick, and I'm just going to put that piece under so that my Oasis sticks up just a little bit taller than my basket. All right. So you need to be able to come out straight from the edges when we're designing. All right, so I've got my Oasis in my container. It's sticking up a little bit higher, a little bit taller than the edges of my container. And now we're going to start by greening our design. And when we green our design, I'm going to be using leatherleaf, which was listed in the supply list. But you could have gone outside and picked ferns from the woods. You could have gotten some mountain laurel or some rhododendron leaves and used those. So if you'd like to use materials that are just available to you in nature, you're also welcome to do that. So this is leather leaf. All right, it is a fern. It is a very common fern in the floral industry. And so what I'm going to do with my leather leaf is I'm going to take two pieces and I'm going to kind of hold them together. And I am going to cut the tops of them off to use as my first inserts into my floral foam. I want these pieces to be about the height of my palm of my hand. All right. If you have really tiny hands, you can go a little bit bigger. So I'm going to hold my leather leaf up and I'm going to make a cut that's a little bit right below my hand there. You can use garden scissors, snips, pruners, whatever works best for you and whatever you have available to make all of your cuts. You'll see that I will use most often a floral knife, and that's just my comfort level. Okay. So I've got my two pieces, and I am going to actually take my two pieces. You'll see that there's a dark side, which is the front, and there's a lighter side, which is the back. But leather leaf has this natural curve to it, all right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two pieces that are the same height, and I'm going to put them back to back. That way they kind of support each other and hold them up straight rather than that curve. And I'm going to take these two pieces, and I'm going to make my first insert on the top of my oasis, right under my handle. If you don't have a handle, then right in the middle of your oasis, okay? You'll notice on my leather leaf that I'm only putting in 1/2 inch of stem into this oasis. You do not need to leave these stems long, and in fact, you shouldn't. The longer you leave the stem as you continue making your arrangement, the more difficult it's going to become, okay? So I'm going to use two pieces back to back, and I'm going to put them directly in the center of my foam, okay? And then once I've done that, I'm going to add two more pieces that are about the same length. Okay. And these two pieces are going to come out either side. So my container is oval shaped. Okay. So they're going to come out either side of my container. With leather leaf, when you make those inserts, if you hold the stem closer to the base and push in, if you hold out here, you're going to break the stem. So you want to hold it as close to the base as possible to push it into your oasis. Okay. Then I'm going to use the rest of the pieces on my leather leaf, all right, and I'm going to simply pull those off. I use all the pieces, so every time I'm done with a piece of leather leaf, it looks like this. There's nothing left to it. Okay. And I am going to make some inserts. I'm going to do two on each side. I'm coming straight out with these pieces, and I'm putting them so they're resting right on top of the basket. Okay. And so I'm taking these two pieces now, and I am adding them at an angle. And by angle, I mean they're angling away from my handle of my basket. And I'm going to do this on each side. So right now I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 pieces of leather leaf in there. Okay. And then at this point, you're going to continue taking leaflets off of your leather leaf, and you're going to add them to the top of your oasis now. And what we want to do when we do this is we're going to continue taking all the pieces off the sides here. Okay. We want the shiny part of the leather leaf to be facing the ceiling always. And so I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to put it in my oasis on the top of my oasis, angling outwards. Okay? And the shiny side is facing the ceiling. It's facing up. All right. And I'm going to continue to add leather leaf all the way around. So the leather leaf is doing two things. It is creating a backdrop for our flowers to kind of pop off of, but it is also hiding our mechanics, and our oasis is the mechanics. We don't want people to see the oasis. It's not pretty to look at, that's for sure. And so I am trying to kind of hide this oasis by adding the leather leaf in. Okay. So this will take a few minutes, but you're going to essentially cover a bunch of your oasis. You should still be able to see it when you're done, and a picture will flash up on the screen here in just a minute of what the final product should look like. You should still be able to see some of the oasis, but you want a lot of it kind of hidden away. All right, so this is what my greened arrangement looks like. Okay. This is a completed greened arrangement so far. Okay. And we should all kind of be at this spot, this level of fullness. We can come back later and revisit if you feel like you have some holes later on still. But we want to make sure we're leaving room for our flowers, because that's the beautiful part, and that's what people really want to see of the flowers. So the next thing you're going to add are our mini carnations. And our mini carnations, they come on a stem, so there's multiple flowers on one stem. And they're at varied degrees of openness, right? So this one's a little more open, and I've got some more closed ones. If you have one that's just starting to open like this, we can actually manually open them if you want them open. I generally put all stages of opened and closedness into my arrangements just because I like the texture. And a flower that is closed like this will eventually open in your arrangement. So if you do want it open, though, maybe most of yours are closed and you want to add some more fullness to your design, you're going to take your flower, you're going to put your pointer finger and thumb on the calyx, which is this green part of the stem here. They're modified leaves that were covering this flower bud when it was tight. And you're going to gently roll it back and forth. And then you're going to use 3 fingers, and you're just going to fluff them open. It's a very technical term we use. Just fluffing it open. So now my mini carnation is open and can be used as an opened carn. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start adding our mini carns into our design. And so I'm going to start by adding one directly in the middle of my design, right under my basket handle. When you pull these off your stems, okay, so I pulled all the flowers off my stems. I already did to save time. So I pulled all of these flowers off my stems. I opened the ones already that I wanted opened. I am going to use these buds though, all right? And when I cut this, I cut it so that it was just a little bit shorter than my leather leaf, all right? My leather leaf is just a little bit taller. And this is going to start to form the outline of our arrangement. Okay? After you've inserted that one in the top, I'm going to add one on each side, just like I did with my leather leaf. Okay. So I've got 3, and what I've done is I've started to create this triangle shape that you can see here, all right, on each side. Next, I'm going to add 2 more, and the 2 are going to end up between this one, so my point here, and my basket handle. So there's 1, okay, and then I'm going to add a second one on this side. And then I'm going to turn my arrangement around, and I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. It's important to remember to turn your arrangement around. Oftentimes we forget to do this, and then one side looks very empty. So it's important to turn them around. Your flowers should come straight out just like your leather leaf did and kind of rest on the edge of that basket. All right. And so what I've done is I've created this outline. And now we're going to fill this in, just like we did with the leather leaf. So I'm going to take my mini carns, and I'm going to start putting them on the top of my oasis, which of course you can't see well because of the leather leaf, but you know it's there. You've seen it. And so now I'm inserting my flowers, okay, at different heights. I'm never going taller than my first flower that I put in, and I'm never going longer than my edge flowers that I put in. All right, that's important. We're trying to create this nice mound look, and in order to get that mounded look, all right, these have to be your longest and tallest points, not the edges here. Okay, so I'm going to add them into my arrangement anywhere that I feel like there's a hole, which at this point there's lots of holes, let's just be honest. And you'll see I'm adding in flower buds. I'm adding in some that might never even change, to be quite honest. Sometimes if they're really green buds still, they're never actually going to open, but that's okay. It's still a really cool texture to have in your design. All right. So my mini carns have been added in. All right, at this point, you should be done with your mini carnations, and they should kind of be spread out throughout your design, with none of the middle ones being longer than the top or the sides. And now we're going to move on to our florist chrysanthemums. And so florist chrysanthemums often come on longer stems than a mum you may buy for fall to put outside your house that's potted. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all of the flowers off the stems. So I'm going to continue to pull all the flowers off the stems. And I would only do this on, let's say, 2 stems, and then that way, if you end up not needing all of them, then that's cool. You have some flowers left in a vase for later. Okay. And what we're going to do with these florist chrysanthemums is we are going to add them in between our mini carnations. Okay, so anywhere there's an empty space in between 2 mini carnations, I'm going to add a mum. And so this will look different for everybody's arrangement. Okay. Oftentimes in the floral industry, we put flowers that are more open lower and flowers that are less open up top, just because of the visual weight. It helps make things look balanced, but you can put these flowers wherever you choose because you're the ones going to be enjoying the final product here. Okay. So I am adding these in between. These flowers are not going, they're not any longer than my mini carns, so they're about the same lengths as my mini carns. Okay, and I'm simply filling in spaces between mini carns. We don't want flowers touching necessarily, so make sure you're giving them some space. I do pull dead leaves off, but if there are leaves on your flowers that are still green and good, you can leave those leaves on as you're designing. That just means that they're going to continue to go through photosynthesis, and your arrangement will last longer. Okay. So here is where we're at right now. We're almost done. Okay. So we should have a nice mounded design. Okay. And you can see my handle is still visible because my basket had a handle on it. And if I step back from my design, I can see my basket, and you all can see my basket, right? So we're not covering our container completely. It will be visible. At this point, after you've added in your mini carnations and your florist chrysanthemums, if you feel like there are still spots where you can really see your oasis, it's really obvious, you may want to go back at this point and add in a few more pieces of leather leaf or whatever greenery you were using. That way it kind of hides those mechanics a little bit more. If you think it looks great, you can't really see your mechanics, then you're good and you don't need to add any more leather leaf. But if you have some holes, you can go ahead and now and fill some of those big holes with a couple pieces of leather leaf. We're getting close to the end at this point. And so what's left to do is our filler flower, which if you're following the materials list is baby's breath or gypsophilia. And then any cute little accents you may have bought in to put into your design. And those accents are completely optional. You can have them or not and enjoy them or not. So when we are talking about filler flower, the point of a filler flower is to fill in some holes, and it's not to be overpowering. So sometimes people get carried away with filler flower. And so we're using baby's breath today. And what I'm simply going to do is look around my arrangement and decide where there's some bigger gaps and kind of fill in some of those bigger gaps. Okay? The baby's breath shouldn't be taller than my flowers. Okay. So I need to keep that in mind. And I don't want to overpower my design with baby's breath. It's very easy to do. It is a beautiful little white flower, and you can easily add too much. And so I'm simply filling in some spots. You want to make sure that you're filling in spots that are up tall and down low. You don't just want that white to be concentrated in an area. So you do need to make sure that as you're inserting it, you're kind of inserting it all the way around at different planes. So that it's kind of all mixed in proportionately. All right, so I've added some baby's breath in and around my design. At this point, I can't see my oasis at all, which is great. That was the whole goal, is to not be able to see the oasis at all. Okay. Let me tip this forward for you. There you go. So that's what a completed arrangement will look like. If you didn't want any accents in your design, you just wanted flowers, you're done. Congratulations. I'm sure it looks absolutely beautiful. And if you want to add some accents, I'll walk you through that now. If you're looking to add some fun accents into your design, there's a lot of different options. And so some of the things that I found when I was out shopping were fake little pumpkins. These are on picks. If you don't have one on pick, you could hot glue even just a little stick or wire to the bottom of a fake pumpkin. I found some fall colored leaves, some fake wheat. Actually, it might not be fake. I don't know. It's wheat, though. It's supposed to be wheat. And then I also found some fall ribbon. Now, I wouldn't add all of these things into one design. That's a lot, all right? But if you want to pick and choose a few things, maybe you found little mini scarecrows or things that are related to Halloween, totally up to you, whatever really appeases you. So something like these pumpkins, they're very easy because these ones are already on a pick, but I simply add it in as a little touch. Okay, I wouldn't get carried away. I wouldn't add 10 of these in. This isn't a very large arrangement. But if you want to put 1 or 2 in, then that's definitely an option. Fall leaves, you could even go outside and get some branches off of a tree that's perhaps changing colors right now. Okay, these ones are fake. I've never seen leaves these vibrant before. But so you can simply take some of these and insert them in between your flowers as well. Okay. And the same rules apply. You don't necessarily want these to be sticking out further than your flowers, okay? That kind of defeats the purpose of the flowers being there. So you can add leaves. You can add them in lower if you'd like, or higher, wherever you prefer, wherever you may have a hole. And then same with the wheat here. Okay, I would cut this to length, and then you can add a few pieces in, okay, just to add a cute little different touch to your design. I'm not going to teach how to make a bow on this because it would take a while and you'd probably get frustrated with me. But if you had some fall themed ribbon, one really cool thing you can do with your ribbon is cut off about, say, 4 to 5 inch piece. Okay, so I've got a small piece here. And fold it in half. Okay. And then if you have a piece of wire, which you can buy in packages at Michael's or other craft stores, okay, you can actually crimp this wire around. So I folded my ribbon in half, and I'm crimping it with the wire here. And I've just created this cute little ribbon loop, and I can insert the wire that's hanging down here now into my foam. And then I'd have these cute little ribbon loops in my foam just to kind of add a touch of fall accent to my design. Okay. So there's one ribbon loop in there. Okay. And you can add several of these around the arrangement if it's a detail that you really like and an accent you really like. I hope you guys had a really great time making this arrangement. If you made one, I would love if you sent us pictures back. Share it on Facebook so that we can see all the cool work you guys are doing. I hope you enjoy them on your family tables for the holidays. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out and get in touch with me. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for a little while, and I hope you love your flower arrangement.